It's,
I
I
don't
feel
know.
like the lighting is like, you know, push them back this way. Okay. Oh, I gotta turn it that way. Weird how I gotta buy me a stand. That is on. Okay. Woo! Yay.
Well,
Okay.
no, you gotta be in there somewhere.
Okay. Let me see. See if I'm in here. Oh yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, I think we're good.
We are good.
Okay. And you're good. Get my phone. And I'll start it. My water.
Janet Ivanovich, one
I
of my
have a lot that read
coworkers.
her.
She loves it. I can't really get into it. She lent me one of her books, and I just couldn't get into it. But a lot of people just love it.
But I'm gonna just mention there's your name.
Yeah.
It's a nice book.
Well, we've worked. Do you know Cindy Taylor? Cindy Taylor?
Is she? I seen her on Historic Union
Yes.
County with you.
Mhm.
Yes.
She started her publishing company, and I went from Mantle Rock to her. I got my rights back and then went to her.
Okay.
She likes to help local writers. She's
Oh.
yeah. I mean, it's a full-fledged company.
Wow.
Yeah. And she's really good, and she gives you more freedom with your books.
Oh.
Whereas I've had other editors and other books.
Is it expensive to go through her?
No.
No.
Not her. The first one I had, they took a lot of royalty.
We're going to talk about that, okay?
Okay.
We're going to talk about going through a publisher versus self-publishing, which
Okay.
is what I did.
Okay.
And I would love to know maybe
My
what
perspective.
yes, and what are the advantages with either one? Maybe we'll talk about that.
Yeah. One of the bigger I have friends who went through found agents, and done real well. And I've had friends who found agents and had horror stories.
Yeah, see, my son did, and
Okay.
he had a book, and he was going through a reputable publishing company in New York, and they actually, the whole company, and their whole team met and decided they didn't normally take new authors. Like, they published Sandra Brown and popular people. They decided to take him on. And do you remember, it's been a few years ago, the big storm hit up in New York, like they were out of lights, and
Kinda,
it was a huge storm. When that happened, he never heard from his agent again. He tried contacting her through email, through phone, and then what was the weird, and they were talking about submitting his book to producers and movie companies and stuff.
And it just gone.
And then it's gone, and then Z-Day came out.
What was Z-Day?
With Brad Pitt in
Oh,
it. Zombie.
World War Z? Or
Yeah, World War Z. That's it.
Yeah.
World War Z. That's it. His book, I'm sorry, I think my son's book is called Z-Day.
Okay.
And then that came out, and they were like, I said, go watch it and see if it's, and it was, he said it's very similar to his book. Yeah. So, we don't know. I think she left, we do know she left the publishing company, and she asked, will you go with me if I leave? But she had fought for him so hard, we thought, well, yeah, he should go with her. She's going to make sure. But then that storm came, and that's what happened.
Wow.
Never. So,
Do you think she used it or sold it?
we wondered if either that happened. I don't know what age she was, so she could have died. I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
It was the oddest thing ever, because they were in the middle of.
Wow. I can get Z-Day, like D-Day.
Yeah.
And they took it to World War Z. Just a flip.
Yeah.
Do you know who they give credit in that movie to anybody? Could you look that up, the book or anything?
Yes, Brad Pitt my son, what did he say Brad Pitt said? He made a comment about, there was a comment that made us think that it was his book, because he made I can't remember exactly what the comment was, but it had something to do with the true author of the book it was based off of, or something. Not getting credit for it. Yeah. I'll have to ask him. It's been, because this has been a few years ago now.
Yeah.
But
give me a good lawyer.
Yeah, but it was like, well, I don't know, it was frustrating.
Well, I mean, anytime you create something, well, as far as like literature, it's yours.
Yeah.
And one thing they will tell, because I took some classes, one thing they say is when you're submitting to somebody, you don't have to put copyright your name, because that shows you as an amateur. Professionals know their work is automatically copyrighted because it's got their name on it. You know, put copyrighted number.
Right.
If that had his name on it, he owns it.
Yeah. I mean,
He is due
Yeah.
something from that.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
definitely.
We've, what we did was, we had it, I'm pretty sure this is what I had him do. I had him mail it to himself.
A lot of people do that. Songwriters do that.
And then I had him, and then of course it's saved on his jump drive.
Okay.
Dated, time, all of that, So, but anyway, that was...
That's amazing. But still, your son must be talented.
Well,
that's pretty cool.
He is, but he's not wanted to write anything since.
I can understand. I mean, I
because he felt like he got burnt,
Yeah. Was this his first, like? See that? That's
well,
talent.
I mean, his first that he put out there.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah.
That says a lot for his talent, and he needs to pursue that. I hate that for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I hate that for him. So it sounds to me like she just took it and...
Yeah, like we did everything to get a hold of her, and and she was up there, and have we been live this whole time? I don't know.
It says live right there. Well, if we are, everybody knows what a great writer your son is. I'm proud for them to know that. That is an accomplishment.
Yes, and I plan to interview him. Okay, I don't know. Sorry, guys. We don't know, second time doing live, so we're new at this. Hey, Holly, will you go on and see if we're live? Because I don't know if we are or not. Oh, yeah, we are. We've got people saying we are.
That's great. I like a little adventure in the morning. We are good.
This is hilarious. We didn't know we were live, so. But anyway.
Hey, you gotta have some fun. Have some adventure.
Hey guys, this is I'm Kim at the Letchworth Public Library, and I'm here with Brooke Cox, and this is her new book that just came out. Yes. Is it today?
It came out, I think, Monday on paperback, but it's been on Kindle for a while, so you can check that out too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know if you can see it. Let me bring it up there to you. And I know I don't know how to do the backward thing, so I don't know if you can read that. It's Dinosaur Eggs, 2 Guys, a Girl, and a T-Rex. Awesome chapter book for juniors. So I guess we can start off with I don't really know you, so tell me about yourself. We'll start there.
Well, I'm a local girl. I was raised actually in Knox County, not far from Anderson County, and my great-grandfather's from my old family up here in Union County. I spend every weekend coming up to Union County. So both places are home to me.
Okay.
I have been writing virtually my whole life. I started out watching Snoopy on his typewriter when I was very small, and I thought, Snoopy can do that, why can't I? And I've been going at it ever since.
Wow, that's awesome. So, and I love Snoopy too.
Oh yeah,
so
can't go wrong with
Snoopy. I
Snoopy.
can totally relate.
He's my man. That's right.
So, and then okay, well, show us some of your other books that you've written.
Well, I have some storytelling books here, and Saucy Southern Stories, and I've got the volume 2. Now, this picture I really like. I am on my papa's tractor, and this is my Easter dress. I think it was 1977.
Oh, wow.
My dad took this picture. We were just walking around, and my dad said, hey, why don't you get in your papa's tractor? And took a picture. And, of course, all my stories, and they are Southern stories about growing up on a farm, and I always put inspiration with them, like a Bible verse, just try to teach about God and life. And I thought that was perfect to be an Easter Sunday, and you can't tell in this picture, I just got braces, so I'm glad you can't tell that in this picture.
That is awesome.
And the stories are on Historic Union County. So if you ever read Historic Union County, a lot of my stories are in these books. That's just, I like humor, getting humor out of life.
Right, right. And you can go to historicunioncounty.com as well.
Yeah.
So, and then they also have a paper.
Yes, they do.
That you can get. So, and this is just combined stories.
Yes, they're just combined stories. There's stories in there like Broad Tourniquet. I actually used a tourniquet to catch a bumblebee for my daughter's college class. That's real. I have things happen to me, and I decided one day, well, God's given me the stories. Let's just put them down.
Oh, wow. That is great. So, Janie. Hi, Janie. Thanks for letting me know. You could have called or something. Anyway. Hi, Christy. And Holly's watching. Hey, Holly. I should have had you check, but I'm new at this live thing, so bear with me.
Makes life fun.
So if you're just now joining us, I'm Kim with the Luttrell Public Library, and this is Brooke Cox, author, local author, and so we are getting her books in, so you'll be able to check them out here. And so give us, you come and visit with us, and I'd like to get your ebooks as well. So that may take me a little more time, but I'll be in the process of doing that as well. So
I have another book coming out, Conniving Cousins. My first novel was Deadly Doll, and some of it takes place here in Union County. And I got the rights back to it, so it's going to be a whole new thing. And it was actually a debut novel for the CELA contest in 2016. It's the same basic story, but since I had the rights back to it, I tweaked it the way I liked it. It's more Southern. It's more East Tennessee now. If that makes any sense.
Yes. So is it children's? What genre? Who's it for?
It's actually what they call YA, young adult.
Okay.
But it takes place in 1982. So
wow.
I have adults and young both
that love to read it. Yes.
And I like fun and adventure.
Oh, yeah.
Everything I write's got fun and adventure.
I'm so excited.
So that's how I like to read, so that's how I write.
And we're actually setting in our young adult section here, so that's great to know that. And so we will have a book here.
I will bring it up here when it comes out.
Okay, let me see what questions I like to ask. What is the first book that made you cry?
Oh, goodness. That's a good one, because I didn't like stuff that makes me cry. I do not. I remember the first movie that I squalled at, what was it? About the mother-daughter movie in the 80s. Shirley MacLaine was the mother.
Oh, yes, I know what you're talking about.
I squalled.
And she, the daughter
died of cancer.
Yes,
oh, I cried
sick.
and cried.
Yeah,
I don't like stuff like that. So I don't get a book that makes me cry. I avoid them. So I don't think I've ever really had. I did get, and I take it back. I had an inspirational book about somebody who, I remember the name of it, they claimed to pass away and then to come back, and they said some stuff that really touched
Yeah,
me, but I don't
yeah.
remember the name of the book. But I'm sorry. I like books that make me laugh,
Yes.
and I have a good time, and I can learn from it.
Do you have a favorite book?
Actually, no. I just love
Okay.
all books.
Okay.
Now,
What can you think of one of your favorites?
there was one of my books. Now, I like King Arthur
Mhm.
and Merlin. I love that story of
Mhm.
Camelot. And I was sick one time and went to the library and bought a King Arthur by Thomas Mallory. And he wrote that when he was in the Tower of London imprisoned in 14 something or 15 something. And he combined all the old Arthur legends and put them in one.
Mhm.
That was a good book.
Oh wow.
Enough, but I like medieval stuff. So. But it was well written, and it was very imaginative, and I just thought it was a very good book.
Oh wow.
I could curl up on that
Yes.
and by a fireplace, read it again.
Well, that kind of takes me back to your book, being about not medieval, but it's about dinosaurs. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, this is actually, I got this idea in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
I was out with one of my friends, and we walked by a manhole lid, and they had put rocks on it for landscaping, but they looked like dinosaur eggs. They were long and kind of orangey tan looking, and I love dinosaurs. Okay, just love it. I've got a dragon necklace on now. And I told my friend, I said, wouldn't it be cool if this was really a dinosaur nest and the T-Rex came at us to get her eggs back? And she said, oh, Brooke. And I said, no, we're going with this. And I wrote a short story. And I made it inspirational. I do everything I do is inspirational because I figure if God gave me the talent, I have to give it back. And it just went from that. It was a short story with a female protagonist. She was about 17 years old, and she faces the T-Rex, but she doesn't fight it. Now, in this book, the character fights the T-Rex in a hand-to-hand battle. And I was actually at a writer's conference, and when you pay tuition for a writer's conference, they give you a free critique from a professional. Well, Cindy Kinney got the short story version of Dinosaur Eggs. Cindy Kinney worked on VeggieTales. You remember that?
Yes.
And she said, Brooke, she said, this has got so much potential. Take the age down of the main character and make it a boy. And make this a middle grade novel. So I researched on that. And that's how I came up with that. And the story just kind of, it almost comes to life itself. Because when I write, it's like I'm watching a movie.
Yeah.
And that's how I write. And it's almost like it's telling me the story. I don't know how to describe it, but it's almost like it's telling me what to put down. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
It comes alive.
Yes.
And I like fun and adventure,
Wow.
and they have plenty of adventure, and being raised on a farm. A lot of this takes place on a farm in East Tennessee.
Okay. Let's see. Holly, can you let us know? Can you hear us and see us well? Can you type in and let me know how we're doing out there? Again, if you're just now tuning in, we're here at the Luttrell Public Library. I'm Ken, and this is author Brooke Cox, and a Tennessee local author who I wanted to debut her book that's just came out. So Holly says we're doing good. She can see us good, and I hope that we'll have more join us. And at the beginning of our live, we didn't know we were live, so anyway, I'm not trying to say a famous movie did anything wrong or anything like that. Things were just kind of weird.
We were just curious.
So yeah,
We were just curious.
Just curious.
Yeah.
And nothing against Brad Pitt or anything. So anyway.
Hey, you gotta have some fun in life, people. I mean, come on.
So let me see. How many unpublished and half-finished books do you have?
Oh, I've got a few. We were talking about that earlier. You always have them in your head. If you are an imaginative or creative
Yes.
person, your brain is constantly going.
Yes.
and I don't know if you experienced this, but even when I lay down at night to sleep, my brain's going,
oh yeah.
Yeah. So I've got a couple of children's books I would like to get out. The Daring Ladybug, and it was accepted by a children's magazine, and it was going to be the focus of the issue. Kind of like your son happened, and nothing happened.
Right.
And I thought, I want to do something with this, so I contacted them. I thought, well, they haven't paid me, but I wanted to make sure, and they released it back to me. But I use it for giveaways at book signings. I had a cousin draw the pictures out, and we had a little pamphlet, and people say, oh, honey, why don't you make this into a book? So I think I'm going to try to do that. And Turkey in the Tutu, it was actually a story last year in HUC about a clever turkey that gets out of being Thanksgiving dinner. So those are two in my head right now. I've got one, I don't know if I would call it sci-fi or speculative, but it's about a woman who doesn't necessarily time travel, but something happens to her and it changes her life. And she has to explore through it to realize certain things. And my friends just love it. You know, I send to my friends that your friends are great because they're honest with you.
I agree.
They know they can take, man, this is bad. Don't even think about it, you know. But they were always like, we love it, we love it. So I've got to get that out. But anytime I like complicated stories. I like to write complicated stories. And that takes time. You've got to get all those loose ends tied up. You've got to get all the questions answered. You've got to have that ending. And it's not a simple thing.
Yeah. And that brings me to my next question. Like, do you have to do a lot of research for your when you write your books? Or
Some. Yeah. I did for DINOSAUR EGGS, just a little bit. I already know I love dinosaurs, so I'm kind of encyclopedia in my head anyway. But I did a little bit of research on dinosaurs. I don't want to give the story away, but I had a little bit of their anatomy, you know, because he buys this thing, so he's got to see this thing up close.
Yeah.
I did some research for Deadly Dog, which is Conniving Cousins. But a lot of it, I love history, so a lot of it I kind of already knew, just kind of reinforced some things that I knew. Right. You ever heard of the Night of the Broken Glass? It was right before the Nazis were started persecuting the Jews, the Jewish people. They gave them a chance to get out, but they had to hand their wealth over first, and the Nazis terrorized them. They went through and broke windows in their homes and their businesses. Yes. And this story kind of comes from that. Now, can I tell a story about that I found out? Yeah. My great-grandfather, I do too, so. He lived in Alaska for a few years. Now, he was raised in Union County, and he went to, I think he went to Portland first, Oregon, and then he went to Alaska. He worked for an oil company. And he would come back and tell us these amazing stories. And I just thought Alaska seemed like the most awesome place, and I still want to go sometime. I don't like to fly, so that'd be fun. But, and it just kind of mesmerized me, these stories, and I thought, well, what if I could combine these? So I did research, the Night of the Broken Glass, and some Jewish refugees were actually, after that, put in Alaska for a while. And they tried to get these refugees in Alaska. Most Alaskans said, well, no, they can't handle it up here. And the only city that actually took them in was Skagway. Wow. So I went with that, went with the story. My great-grandfather came across these people, and the whole mystery kind of goes forward from that. But I thought in my mind, this is just fiction. I'm just making this up. Right. Well, my great-grandfather died in 1998. He was almost 102. Wow. He was born in 1896. That's awesome. Tough guy. That's why he did so well in Alaska. Wow. But my mother found some of his stuff and was going through it, and she found pictures. I thought, oh, I could put this on my website for Alaska pictures. We found pictures of him next to people standing in front of a tomb with the Jewish star on it. I thought, oh, wow. I made this up. I did this research. The whole time, he had friends who were Jewish. Wow. I just couldn't believe it. I thought, oh my gosh. Because he never spoke of his friends.
Maybe you were divinely inspired.
I guess I was. That just totally blew me away.
Yeah, that's amazing.
You talk more about polar bears than you did his friends up there. And the Aurora Borealis, which is on my bucket list, by the way. I want to see one of those.
Let's see. What else do we need to know or want to know? Okay, we talked about that. How do you select the names for your characters?
Most writers use names of people they know. I use names of people I know.
That is so true.
And it's also reversed. There's some people I will never use their names. I don't want them to think I'm writing about them, you know. And there's been sometimes I have to tell somebody, okay, this has a name similar to yours, but it's not you. Okay, it's not you. But it goes from people you know.
Yeah.
And most writers pull, even the Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling, she used a lot of her childhood experiences in her book.
Right.
And most writers do that.
Yes.
They pull from their lives.
Yeah. If you didn't write, what would you do? If you didn't write, what would you do right now instead?
I don't really know because I just took early retirement from working in the mortgage office to write and speak.
Yeah.
I'm a numbers and science girl.
Yeah.
People are kind of like, I probably would be doing something in the medical office. My first love was medicine.
Wow.
And I worked at St. Mary's Baptist Hospital. When I was at Baptist, I worked in hematology. So I would probably get back in that field.
Yeah. But how exciting you're getting to follow your dream right now.
Yeah. There's an odd thing about that, though. Even though I wrote for most of my childhood, about the 6th grade, my brain kicked in. You know, you're just trying to lie on so that something works, you know. And my brain just decided, oh, hey, you know, you like math and science. And I just started excelling in it. And when I got to high school, I majored in math and science. I took every math and science course I could. And I left writing behind. I left my imagination behind. I felt like I had outgrown it. So as I went through life, nothing ever really worked out. I could do it, but it just, it just didn't work out. And I would tell my husband, I'm not doing something I'm supposed to do.
Right.
And he'd say, well, what is it? I said, I don't know. And he'd say, well, don't you need to be doing it? I said, what if I knew what it was? So I went like that for a few years. And when my daughter was about 3, she was having a Kool-Aid tea party. And I thought when I was her age, I was making up stories. So the first time in like 15 years, I got my pen and paper out and started writing. And that was when I knew at that point, that was what I was to be doing. All those other years, God, I think God was trying to tell me.
Yes.
But you know how it is when your mind's made up, and even when you're wrong, you know you.
And we think you know, sometimes a security of a you know, the normal job and everything can keep you from stepping out sometimes because it's kind of scary to do that.
It is scary. I'm giving myself some time right now to see how things go, but it's just like your thing says up here: wish it, dream it, do it. And I think that's a wonderful slogan here. I love that. I took a picture of it. Great words to live by.
Well, we try to inspire everybody that comes in, but you know, especially our youth, and that they'll follow their dreams, their hearts, and their giftings. That is there. It's already there. It's just they need to, you know, maybe just practice and develop it, you know. But
I totally agree. Don't do like I did.
You know, and it's just start today.
Start today.
Start today.
And I think, now to be honest, when I prayed about it, because you know, and I was telling Amanda Russell, who's one of the editors on Historic Union County, I said, when I was praying about it, in my mind, I already had certain ideas. So when I was asking God the question, I had answer A, B, C, or D. And really, you need a blank and let him fill it in.
Yeah.
So that's a hard lesson I learned. Took a few years. Yeah, I'm a fast learner. It took me maybe 15 years.
Hey, Sandy. I'm glad you're watching. Good to see you on here. Not see you, but to see that you're connected with us. Let's see. What one thing would you give up to become, well, you already done this actually, to become a better writer, and that was your day
early
job.
Retirement. Yeah, I took early retirement. I prayed about it. And I'm sorry. I prayed about it,
Mhm.
and it's just worked out. So I'm just taking it day by day.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, I just kind of pray about it, and
Yeah.
and it's hard work. I tell people, I don't think people realize how hard that is.
No, they don't.
They
There's
don't.
a lot that goes into writing, publishing, and
Yes.
whether you self-publish or you go through an agency or a publisher or,
Yes.
or whatever, and kind of brings us back to have you self-published before?
No, not by myself. I haven't. No.
Okay.
My first book. Well, everything I've had come out, I've went through an agency.
Okay. Okay.
When I had Deadly Dog come out, one of my friends in ACFW, and that's American Christian Fiction Writers, she had her own company, and she knew I'd been working on this story. And let me do one plug for something. If you're wanting to write, especially fiction, I think it's Donald Massey or Massey. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's Masse or EE. Putting fire in fiction. That's why I got my novel published. Now it's not a Christian book. There's a little bit of language. I want to forewarn you, but it's not a lot.
Yeah.
But he gets down the nuts and bolts of how to write a good fiction story.
Oh, okay.
And I read that. I went back to Deadly Doll. At the time it was named something else, and I went through it again. And when I sent it to my friend, she said, "Okay, now you're ready. You're there." So I would suggest if you're doing fiction to read that story.
Okay.
It's really good. It's get ready. If you have a scene, and as writers we love our words.
Right.
We love our scenes, but if it doesn't propel that story forward, cut it out. That's hard to do.
Oh gosh.
Oh yeah. It's like cutting your hair too short. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Or you just want to keep cutting to get it just right. And
Yeah.
you're like, you're cutting too much.
You're cutting too much.
So I know when I write, I just want to, I'll modify, and I just keep modifying until I get it to finally where I have to say, okay, I think it's there. Because I'll just keep modifying. The more I go back to it, the more I modify.
You will always modify. In fact, when we were going over this, I had two author copies. I went through one and then another. Because you always find stuff. You always find stuff. And finally, I told my publisher, Cindy, I said, just go with it. I said, I can edit this the rest of my life. And that's any book.
Right.
Yeah, you can always modify.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I guess it's trying to find when it's time to just stop and say it's ready. It's hard for a writer, isn't it?
It's very hard for a writer. It's kind of like sending your kid off to college. Well, by the way, mine did good at college, but that was hard.
Yes.
It is. I mean.
And how many children do you have?
Oh, I just have the one.
The one. Okay.
I got dogs.
I have dogs too. So
yeah.
I love dogs. And cats. So
I
don't have any cats, but I love them.
Our dogs are the child.
Okay, let's see. So to your family, does your family support your writing and
Yeah, they do now. Some of my family members I don't think were sure at first until I started getting published.
Right.
But my husband,
They'll take you serious. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't really take me serious. I don't think they did because they well here she's doing something else, But when I started getting published, they were like, oh, well, yeah. I'm like, yeah.
Right.
But my husband and my daughter have always had my back.
Yes.
He's always just supported me. And he said, I know you can do it.
Oh.
So it's always good to have somebody who believes in you.
Yes, it is. Okay, let's see. I have my questions out because I'll just forget. How long on an average does it take you to complete a book? Do you have or just whenever you feel like you're
No, well, when you're working full time like I was, it takes longer. Because, you'd write downtime at work and then try to find time when you get home. I worked on Conniving Cousins for, I think, 5 years before it was published. DINOSAUR EGGS started out in 2007.
Wow.
That's been 13 years.
Wow.
So in my nonfiction stories, that's a matter of months because they're short nonfiction stories.
Right.
But when you write fiction and you talk about complicated stories, all these subplots, it takes time. And when I was doing The Conniving Cousins, this is a mystery. And the first publisher tried to market it as a mystery, and I'm like, but it's not just a mystery, it's a coming of age story. And the mystery enables her to realize who she is. She uses that mystery.
Yeah.
So I didn't like the way they did that, but when I was writing that, and I got to a point, I thought, okay, I'm losing track of who's doing what. So I went through each chapter and outlined each individual chapter itself. So that took time, because if you change something up here, you've got to know before back here, is it going to affect here? Because if you lose your reader, or even a TV show, I'm one of these people, and I watch a TV show, and I could tell, oh, they messed up. I kind of lose it for the show.
Yeah.
I lose it for the book. I'm like, okay, you've lost.
Yeah.
You know. I'm very particular about that. There's a term for it. I can't think of it right now. That's a big deal.
Oh, yeah. Do you believe in writer's block?
Oh, yeah. We all have it.
So what do you do? Is there anything that you do?
I do. I get up and walk. I work. It's like moving gets my brain going. And I have writer friends who, I get completely silent. I have them quiet. And I'm like, oh, my Lord, how do you stand it? TV's going at my house. The fan in the middle of the wintertime. My fan is going in the wintertime. I've constantly got something on at my house. I've got to have noise. I cannot think in dead silence.
Yeah.
So if
I'm kind of like you. I think you've got to just step away from it for a bit and just let it come to you. Go about your business and let it. It will come.
It will come.
Yeah.
I think your brain just gets bogged down. And make sure you have something to write on. Because I used to keep stuff around my house. Literally, I had papers and pads here and there, because if I was dusting or vacuuming, and I've had it happen, bam, drop it. You drop it. I don't care what it is. And you go, right.
Because you can lose that.
You can lose it.
Yes. And that's happened to me before.
Yes, and then you're
it's
like,
terrible. What was it? I was
Yeah.
And a great thing that we have today is our phone.
Yes.
We can record it. We can just speak into it and record it, or, type it in on a little note.
I've done that.
So,
The bad thing is I look at it later and what does this mean? Well, what was this? I've actually done that.
Hey, Larry. Thanks for watching. In case you're coming in late here, we have Brooke Cox, and we are debuting her new book, which is Dinosaur Eggs. 2 guys, a girl, and a T-Rex. I love that title. How did you come up with that title?
Well, actually, my publisher and I went over some stuff, and it just kind of evolved.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, we worked, the first time when we had the dinosaur, it was actually like in a forest. And I said, no. I said, this T-Rex shows up in this kid's neighborhood. He fights this thing in his neighborhood. I mean, this is a modern kid dealing with this. So we've got modern houses. She knows I like astronomy, so there's a meteor in the back. And we've got the armor, because this is based on Ephesians 6, the armor of God. And he uses that to combat this.
Wow. I'm so excited for my granddaughter, Callie, to read it. She is a huge dinosaur fan. She can tell you, she can name them all. She can tell you about them, and facts and all of that. And she just loves that, and I know she's gonna love this book.
Smart kid,
and
right?
She is smart, and her mom will probably read it with her, and they'll have fun reading that book.
I hope so. It's fast paced. This is how I like to read. But like I say, it's adventure, it's humor, and there's a couple of moments in it you're kind of not sure what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we are excited to read it too, because I'm going to read it as well. So I'm excited.
Good. I want to hear what you think about it. I want your honest opinion about it.
Well, I'm excited. Let's see. I think we covered that. Describe your writing space. Like, do you have a specific area, or a place, or at your house, or are you just kind of anywhere?
I'm just anywhere.
Yeah.
I just have to be somewhere I can sit and type.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. A lot of my friends have rooms.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that. To me, it's too confining.
Yeah.
My brain is just confined.
Mm-hmm.
So just wherever I'm at,
Mm-hmm.
I've even been out places and bam, I just get pencil, or
Right.
phone, pencil, paper, whatever,
Right.
and just it's just whenever it
Yes.
strikes me, I write.
Yeah. I'm kind of like you. The book that I wrote, that my first book that I published, I was it was on, my downtime. I was at a library conference, and it was after hours, and I was sitting in the hotel, and that's when
It just came.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just
Mhm.
sat there and I wrote the story, and it took a little longer. It took about 3 or 4 years after that before I
Yeah.
actually published it. Had it finished and all that, but
Good for you.
yeah.
Glad you did it and went through it. Yes, ma'am.
So, and I find that one of I like to sit in the living room while I'm watching TV and write.
I've done that too.
Type and but yeah, and then like we talked about, if we're just out somewhere and you get an idea, get it down.
Get it down. Because
Mm-hmm.
I have, I've done. I've totally lost them. I think, oh, I remember that. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I don't know where my car is when I come out of the grocery store. So what do I expect that I would remember that?
Exactly.
I actually go click, 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 click. But there's one thing in my car though that other cars don't have: a dinosaur, a T-Rex. You want to look at it when you leave? It's on the back of my car. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I tell people behind me are like, what?
Let's see. What comes first for you, the plot or the characters?
The plot. I get the idea.
Mm-hmm.
The plot.
Mm-hmm.
I think that comes first. It did with Conniving Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
The idea came through, and then the character came through with the idea.
Mm-hmm.
And the characters will change.
Right.
But you want them to change. It's called a character arc. Have you heard that?
Mm-mm. No.
Your main character, your book should be a journey. If it's a fiction book, or even a nonfiction book, really, your character has to be different here than here. They need to grow. They need to have some experience.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, with Conniving Cousins, she used that mystery, what she came across, to grow into the person she became.
Mm-hmm.
But the plot came first. The idea came first, and then I got the character, and then, like I said, it just kind of happens.
Right.
I can't explain it. It just comes alive itself.
Let's see.
Can I say something about that
Yeah,
too?
go ahead.
Usually in the writing world, they'll say, "Are you a pantser or a plotter?" You ever heard that?
No, I've not heard that either.
Yeah, I have a really good friend she writes too, and she calls herself a pantser. And she's got a speculative story that I just really like. I mean, after we get it published. But when she changes it, I'm like, well, then how do you know what you've done back here? Because a pantser, you literally write by the seat of your pants. And that's a pantser,
Okay.
And I'm a plotter because I outline my book,
Right,
so if something
right.
happens here, I can go back and change this and this.
Right.
She has to go back and reread her story, go through and change things. I'm like, how do you keep track of that?
Yes.
So I'm a plotter. That's why I like
Right.
mysteries. I like complicated
Right.
stories, and I think you have to plot for that.
I think I would be a plotter. Then.
Plotter, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know how pantsers do
Yeah.
it, but if you had a pantser's brain, you're probably like, yeah, Brooke, it's so easy.
I guess I like to get the plot, and but then everything in between is more of the pantser style.
It can't, yeah, I'll agree with that. There is a combination to it. Yeah.
What are tools of the trade? What tools do you have that you, besides your pencil, paper?
My thesaurus.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, that's very, and of course now it's on the computer, and I can do synonyms, and I can look for words, because you write the way you speak.
Yes.
And that's one of the hardest things, even though I write with my stories in East Tennessee,
Mm-hmm.
still you have to have the characters can speak a certain way. But when you narrate, you want people anywhere to read it and know what's going on, because not everybody knows what Mama or Papa is.
Yes.
I've had to explain that before and some stuff. I'm like, you know what Mama or Papa is? Grandmother, grandfather. That's all I knew growing up was Mama and Papa. Yeah, and catch yourself using certain words. So you got to watch. Yes, you got to watch for that.
Yeah,
so
I do
you're
that.
the thesaurus.
Yeah.
Okay, what else can I say besides this?
Yes.
And it's hard. And again, this is how we speak here.
Mm-hmm.
Not to end your sentences and prepositions.
Yes.
That is big in this part of the country.
Yes.
And I mean,
It
that's
is
our English
true.
here. That's how we
Yeah.
speak.
Mm-hmm.
But when you put that book out and somebody in Britain or California, like,
they're
what?
What?
Yeah.
So we have to rearrange the sentence. We have to find a way to rearrange that sentence.
Yes.
And
yes.
still say what we wanted to say.
Yes.
So.
Now, when my characters speak and they're from this area, they still do. Now, I don't necessarily put the dialect in really hard because when I was in high school, I had to read a book. I hated this book. If I had somebody said, "You want to read this book?" No. But I had to get a grade on. I had to read this. I hated this book. And they made a movie off of it. I'm not going to get the name of it. Oh, I hated this book. Dane Fonda started it. That's all I'm going to say. And I could not understand when I was reading it, some of the things they were saying because they were up in New York around Ellis Island. And the characters, it was written the way they were actually speaking with their dialects. And I couldn't. I was like, what? What did they say? What? So you've got to be careful with that. You want to put enough dialect in for them to get the flavor of where they are, but yet you want them to be read it and follow.
Right.
So that can be a challenge.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I
Hello,
didn't realize
Cindy. I forgot to say hi to you. Thanks for watching today. We sew together, so it's been a while since I've seen her since all this COVID stuff.
I come from seamstress. They say that correctly. My mother and grandmother could sew anything. I don't put on a button.
Well, we can teach you here.
I probably stick myself. I've done that.
Let's see. Do you have a specific time that you write?
Mm-mm.
No,
just whenever it hits. Whenever it hits.
No.
I don't know.
Do you write every day?
You have to write something every day.
Yes, I think that's important because my husband plays music and I've started learning how to play the violin.
Oh, I love the violin.
Yes,
I love the violin.
and he says you have to play it every day, at least 10 minutes every day.
Yeah, I love it.
You know, and he's right because then I put it down for a little while and then I've went back to it and I'm like, I think I forgot everything, you know. But
you
then
can.
it's coming back better, but still.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I took classical piano growing up because my mother took music in school.
Oh,
and
wow.
I took lessons off and on for years. And when I got to a certain age, I just quit. And I play the clarinet, so I know music. And I backed my piano one day and I thought,
wow.
It took me a couple of minutes to get my
for it all to come back to you. It does. It's
just amazing.
Yeah. You know, it's not just like riding a bike.
No, it's not. And I was actually kind of floored. I thought, you know. So if you got something you're good at, keep at it.
Yes, I agree. And we've had some young writers and some that have been published that are from this area here, and so I have to get them and interview them soon. So keep watching for our interviews. And I know I just tried to encourage them, even though, you know, I'm not really that person to probably be encouraging them, but I just wanted to see them go after where their heart was, you know, and go after that dream. So
I totally agree with that. And that's one thing about writers. Most of them support each other. Yes, they do.
Yeah. So do you hear from any of your readers as far as, you know, if it's not someone that you particularly know?
I actually see them online.
Yes.
And they'll post stuff online. And
so you're on Facebook, right?
I'm on Facebook.
Or you're on Instagram? Or?
I'm not on Instagram. I probably should be.
That's something new for me too. I think the kids took right up with it.
Yeah, they did.
And
my daughter did. Yeah.
So I'm slowly getting into the Instagram thing. I'm on Twitter. Are you on Twitter?
I'm on Twitter.
Okay. I never really got into Twitter, even though I'm on there.
Yeah. It's not as comfortable to me as Facebook.
Yeah.
But I love the stuff I see actually on Amazon on the reviews.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you've got a writer that you love to read a book, do a review. Barnes & Noble.
Yes.
Amazon. I mean, that helps the author actually sell their book and get it out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And with my books, I try to put a message with it, inspirational message. The world's so full of awful stuff now.
Yes.
You need a little bit of
We
inspiration.
need that encouragement.
Yes, we do.
So, okay, this is, how do you handle literary criticism? Like when you go to your publisher, and do they ever say like you need to change this, or?
I did have one with when my book was still Deadly Doll. And I'm going to say this. My grandmother had this saying, and I heard this growing up. I'm going to go ahead and say it, okay? Is that all right?
Yeah, go ahead.
When she'd get aggravated, she'd say, "That just makes my butt want a sip of coffee." And I remember hearing that my whole life. And I thought everybody said it. You know, I got in the world, and they were like, "What did you say?" And I was like, "Never mind, yeah." And I put that in my book, and my publisher said, "This is a Christian book. I can't put that in there." And I said, "I heard that my whole life." And she said, "We're taking all of them out."
Oh, wow.
And I said, "Well," so we put nose, makes my nose want a sip of coffee.
Oh,
but now
okay.
Conniving Cousins is back to the other version, okay?
But do you feel like it took away from
It
the
did.
book a little bit?
It did, because this
I would think that would have went.
my grandmother was actually a little quirky herself. I didn't
Uh-huh.
think I'm quirky, but she had me beat. And that was part of her personality. And I felt like it took away from the character in the book, because Conniving Cousins is loosely based on my life of not really fitting in. Now, it's mainly fiction, but I did put a little bit of stuff in there. It's not easy when you grow up and you don't really quite fit in. But I feel like that took away from the dynamic of her.
Yeah, I would think that it would.
Yeah. That disappointed me. And when I well, hopefully we're going to get it out soon, but when I got to Conniving Cousins with Cindy, she said, "We're going to put that back in there." I said, "Yes, ma'am, we're going to put that back in there," because that's the way she spoke. And the lady that I talked to at the writers' conference who critiqued my book, did I tell you about that?
No.
The time it was called Anointed with Uniqueness. And when she went over it, I had to meet with her at the conference. And I thought, hey, this lady's going to chew me up and spit me out, you know. And first thing she said was, "I love this." And she's the one that suggested Fire and Fiction and a lot of the things that got it published. And she said, "I love this butt want to sip of coffee." She said, "My dad used to say it makes my butt want to smoke a cigar." So it must be a southern thing that kind of is out there some. So I kind of felt better about that. But yeah, when you're a writer, your words are your babies.
Yes.
So, and it's your characters are
Yeah.
too.
And especially you kind of took that from a real life experience.
Yes.
And,
yeah.
you know.
That was part of my life growing up.
Yeah.
And the way
Don't
she'd
mess with
say
that.
it, you know, southern accent makes my butt want to sip of coffee.
Holly, are we still online? Are we still live? Can you see us on Facebook? Can you type in and let me know? Are you still there? Janie, anybody? Okay, thank you. We're still. I'm not really sure how long Facebook lets us go live. Maybe I don't know if it's 30 minutes, an hour.
You're good.
Okay, thank you. What is your favorite part and your least favorite part of the publishing journey?
Favorite part is getting the idea. I'm sure you feel the same way. You like to write that initial idea when it pops in your head.
Yes.
You're like, yes,
I've got something here.
Thank you,
It's a
God.
little gold nugget.
Yes, it is. You know, and the hardest part to me is that we're discussing having to go back over your words and re-edit and change things.
Yes.
Because if you're like me, you want to get a message out. You're just not writing to earn, you know,
Yes.
you're writing to get a message out.
Yes.
Yeah, you want to get published, but part of your journey is making a difference in somebody's life.
Exactly.
You feel that?
Yes, exactly.
And when the hardest part to me is having to go back through and change things.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, that's a struggle.
So, who did your artwork here?
Her name is Cindy Taylor. She's also the publisher. She does graphic artistry on herself, and she did this.
Oh gosh, I love it.
Yeah, she did a good job. She did this one on Saucy Stories, and Rachel Rule did this one, my first one. Now I love daisies. my favorite
Yes.
flower, and a blue rocking chair. I just love rocking chairs. That's a Southern thing. And I'm a klutz, by the way. That's how I have so many stories. Oh, we could sit here another hour just go over stuff I've done. And I said, well, let's have a ketchup bottle spilled over because I knock stuff over all the time.
I love
So that explains that, yeah.
I love that.
But yeah, Cindy did this. She did this whole thing.
It definitely grabs your attention. You see these houses, just everyday, you know,
Everyday
your
houses,
normal
yeah.
houses, and then this giant
T-Rex, yeah.
you know, about to eat something, and then this soldier here, and
Yeah.
you're like, what's
And
going
there's
on
the
here?
eggs.
And there's the eggs, yes.
And the eggs plays part too. I mean, it's the eggs initially get him in trouble, and then the T-Rex shows up. Just like I said, my friend. Well, the T-Rex comes after us. Yeah.
Okay, I just can't wait to read them, all of them. I'm very excited because I can tell they are full of adventure.
Yes, I love adventure. I mean, I just love adventure. I love having fun, and
So, back to publishing. Do you, so you haven't self-published before?
no, the closest I have
Mhm.
got, I guess, would be with Cindy because she gives me more control over my stories.
Okay.
Other publishers do not. The
Right.
very first book I ever had out was a novella, and a novella is a short novel.
Mhm.
It's around 30,000
Yes.
words, and a novel's
Mhm.
around 60 or 50 something.
Yes.
It depends who you
Mhm.
talk to. She actually had written a story about a sheriff. Actually, it's a family of female sheriffs in this
Mhm.
town, and she was assigning out each
Mhm.
character somebody to write, and she gave me Joe.
Mhm.
And she changed some things in my book. I'm not going
Mhm.
to say Lace's name, and I actually still read good reviews on that
Uh-huh.
book. It's I didn't break I didn't have it in the car. It's a Sheriff's Bride Joe story, and it's still on Amazon. I think it's still on Barnes and Noble. And it's a process between you and the editor. You go back and forth. You go back and
Mhm.
forth.
Mhm.
What I like about Cindy is I get to make the final choices. She says
Mhm.
it's your book.
Right.
That's the first time anybody's told me that.
Yes.
It's your book.
I love that.
The other people were like,
Mhm.
well, no, well, let's do
Mhm.
this, you know. And I get where they're coming from. They're
Yeah.
thinking sales or thinking, you know, things like that.
Yeah, we have experience. We know what we're talking
Yes,
about.
yes. Sheriff's Bride,
Yeah.
some stuff was
Mhm.
changed. And I thought,
Mhm.
you know, one thing, I have a friend who used to be an acquisitions editor, and she's big on head hopping. You ever heard that term?
No.
Okay, head hopping is a big no-no, okay, if you're writing fiction. Because you and I are sitting here talking, okay?
Uh-huh.
And somebody else would read about us, they would be reading Brooke and what Brooke is thinking. And then they would put something as a page break, and they would go to your thoughts.
Uh-huh.
If you just go back and forth, you don't know who's thinking what.
Oh, okay.
So it keeps the characters
Mhm.
defined, it keeps their
Mhm.
thoughts defined, and it
Mhm.
keeps the reader kind of clear the process of stuff.
Right.
And I had two characters I was writing, and I would do one character and then this character in the same scene, but I would write it so that you knew. And I don't like it when people take that out and just kind of jump around. I'm like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no, it's confusing.
Is it kind of like I've read some books where like they'll put, you know, a section in italics or something.
Yes.
Okay.
Now I have
Mhm.
italics in my book
Mhm.
where God is talking to this
Mhm.
young man. His name is Tim.
Mhm.
And when he is actually facing this dinosaur for the
Mhm.
first time, now he faces it more than once, which is a struggle for him,
Uh-huh.
because he's always want to get in trouble. He does dinosaur hunts, and there's a reason he does dinosaur hunts, okay? And this time he actually finds one. When he is struggling because he's so shocked
Mhm.
at seeing this thing,
Mhm.
I have italics where he and God are talking to each other,
Mhm.
you know.
Okay.
You can see somebody,
Yes.
okay, you do this.
Yes.
And he's just like, okay, you know. And it's how he survives his first, you know. And even when he and his friends, he has two friends that help him, of course. Two guys that are, I also have God talk to him in italics. You know. So that to me is, italics are important. And italics, you want to set something aside in italics. And
Right.
to me, when God's speaking to you, that should always
Yes.
be set aside. But yeah, I have that in Dinosaur Eggs. I really don't have it in my nonfiction.
Uh-huh.
And when I write the other stories, I don't think I use italics much in them because, like, I didn't head hop. I kept it one person.
Mhm.
and Conniving Cousins at the end, where they're actually facing death. They thought they were facing death, and she prays. God answers, but He answers in action.
Oh, wow.
He doesn't say something to her, but you know He has stepped in. Oh, okay, a very unlikely way you would not expect.
And you definitely want to get the book, check out the book at the library, purchase it on Amazon.
And I'm going to be at Union County next weekend. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
At Wilson Park, they're having like some kind of Christmas vendor thing.
Yay.
And Sin and I are going, Cindy Taylor, we're going to have our books there. And I'm hoping to get them in from Amazon.
So come visit. Yeah, you can
come
get
visit me.
An autographed copy. So.
And I will have my little saucy Southern stories too.
So, and that's next week.
It's next Saturday. I think it's 10 to 2 or something. 11 to 2, 10 to 2. I have to look at it again. At Wilson Park. And I think it's going to be like a farmer's market thing too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have to come over there. I hadn't seen anything about it. Is that what's posted on Historic Union County?
I think it is.
Oh,
yes.
okay. Then I did see something.
Yeah. See, I couldn't do a book launch this year.
Right.
Because of COVID.
Right.
And I had planned this big party because this has been my baby for years.
Yeah.
And it was kind of...
Well, you can still do it later.
I'm going to do a Facebook launch.
Yeah, it won't be the same, but
But God has reasons for things. So.
Yeah. But I'm excited for you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
It's surreal to me because I've worked on it for so long and I've put so much of myself into it. You know what that's like.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And I just want to thank you for coming and sharing with us. And we will be getting her books here at the library. So, but you can purchase them on Amazon. You can pick them up at Wilson Park. In Maynardville, Union County, Tennessee. And next weekend, next Saturday, 10 to 2. Do you have anything that you wanted to say before we go?
Well, I do have a website.
Okay.
And it's just now kind of got updated. It's www.brookecoxstories.com.
Okay.
And I changed the title of it to Babbling Brook because I'm going to get into speaking.
Oh,
I'm also getting storytelling.
Yes.
So you can probably put in Babbling Brook, and all my books are on there too. Now the link takes you to Amazon.
Okay.
But they're on there as well.
Okay.
And thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I've
had a great time.
Excited.
This is fun.
It has been fun. And I think your books are going to be as fun as you are. So
oh, I hope so. Thank you so much. I like to have fun.
Me too. Especially in all this mess going on.
You got to live life, you know.
We got to laugh through it.
Yeah. Yeah. One theme I have to all my stuff, even my speaking, is don't give up.
Right.
Don't ever give up. You know, every storm runs out of rain.
That's right. Dream it, follow it.
Do it. I love that. You need
to dream it, do it.
You need to put that on the bumper sticker. I love that.
So, and I don't know, I'll try and turn the camera maybe so everybody can see it.
I just love that.
I don't know, can they see? Can you see, Brooke?
It's so dark I can't. I don't think it is. That should, it's aimed at it, but I can't. There, they had it right.
There it is.
There it is.
There it is.
That's awesome. I think that's an awesome thing.
To it. Get back there. And, come and visit the Luttrell Public Library. We have all kinds of books. We have lots of books, all genres. If we don't have it, we'll try and get it for you one way or another. We have computers, the kids. We have a kids area that's pretty great, you know.
Oh, yeah, I saw this and I said, oh, if only you had this when I was a kid. It is awesome. Bring your kids here. Seriously. I'm tempted to go get a tent myself just to have some fun.
So come and visit, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
And